one. Well, hello there, ladies and gents. I'm Tammy Sapnewski, your crypto queen. Thank you so much for popping by my channel. Tonight, we have two wonderful developers in the house from RMDoxx. Welcome, David, and welcome, Kyle.
Thank you for having us. We very much appreciate it.
Thank you very much for showing up. A little late, guys, but here we are. So, I've listened to a lot of your different AMAs, and I think what you're doing is so important in the DeFi space. It's incredible. It's the Wild West out here, and we need somebody to come in and kind of help everybody out as to, hey, what's a potential rug and, what we can trust. And so many projects don't last very long. I think I heard you say that over 90% eventually either rug or shrug, and that's not good odds. So if you wouldn't mind, please introduce yourselves and let everyone that's watching right now know what your positions are there at RMDoxx.
Sure.
So I'll go first.
The lawyer goes first.
Yeah.
I think his connection is a little choppy though, Kyle.
I'm based out.
Yeah, David, your connection is not wonderful. So maybe Kyle, you can kick it off.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, Dave's in Florida there, and we all know Florida. Actually, I'm not really sure. We have connection issues with Dave sometimes. It's funny. We really don't know why. I can assure you, he pays his cable bills. It has nothing to do with that. It's just
sure.
where he's situated. But David, when he comes back in, he can do his. My name's Kyle Gadet. I'm the business development officer. I do public relations, and I help out with some marketing with our company. And I try to talk to people day to day. I'm the person you call if there's an issue. I'm the person you call if you want to get involved with us. And more often than not, I'm the person that settles disputes. So I was one of the last people brought onto this team. I was probably brought on about a month on after it, maybe approximately a month after it launched. And I've learned a lot about crypto from the team members, although I have a pretty extensive past in it myself. But everybody on this team brings a wealth of knowledge, and it's been great to work with them. I'm not sure if Doc will still be joining us. If he is, then he can go over his introduction. But Dave, are you able to talk about yours, or did you want me to introduce you on your behalf?
Am I coming in any better? I closed out some windows and I.
Yes, you are significantly.
Okay, I just had too much up probably. So I'm attorney David Kerberline. I'm based out of Florida. I'm admitted not only to the state of Florida, also the federal middle district. I have litigation experience, also arbitration experience with Fortune 500 companies. I've got a very, very long background, and I do a lot in contract law. I do a bit in entertainment law. Mostly I try to stick to arbitration because honestly, it's a lot more easier to schedule. And at times people understand, I prefer it. Arbitration is much more preferable. So one of the things I like about coming on this team is originally I was planning to launch a token in February of this year, and I was playing this in around August of last year. I was a victim of the Rick and Morty rug pull, and through pure serendipity, being a loudmouth mostly, with a man named Vlad the Chad, who, to his credit, I have kind things to say about him. The members on the team brought me in that we had at the time, and I was able to read code, look at code, stuff like that. I still do that. I kind of consider myself an amateur coder. I'm considered self-education. I've paid for some courses. I look at things and I appreciate information technology. So I have a amateur background in Solidity, and I usually look at stuff. And there are various contract research groups I hobby with. So we look and try and spot honeypots and stuff like that. And that experience, I wanted to bring the RMDoxx along with also my background in venture capital investment, stuff like that happens in the non-crypto world, and also my corporate background in law and things of that nature. So we're looking to do things very differently and inspire a culture, not only of mass adoption, not only mass transparency and accountability, but also utility. We want to see true utility in the crypto space as we move forward.
Well, speaking of utility, what exactly is your utility? Is it something that's artificial intelligence? Do you have an algorithm that's built that rakes through these contracts, or is there an element of human intelligence as well? Well, why don't you just give the basic breakdown of what it is RMDoxx does?
So the beauty of it was originally when we came out, we noticed there were a lot of counterfeiters. So I played the loudmouth Reagan a la Star Wars program for people who have any knowledge of the Cold War. And there are things that I use as part of my practice and what I do as part of the vetting system and stuff like that. And I do some scraping, and I have played with artificial intelligence and self-taught learning and stuff like that as far as machines and programs and software. So I know a lot of the buzzwords, and I know what is feasible, what isn't feasible. But really, the beauty of it is it's not a software you can copy, and it's always subject to what I call evolution, or what some may call improvement, because we're always researching what goes into rug pull, things we look for. Does someone have a history of bankruptcy? Do they have a history of divorce? Do they have a history of financial crimes? Things of that nature. Have they opened a dozen corporations and closed them without ever filing minutes? These are all things that are radically important, because in the venture capital field, I've caught people who've bounced all over the country because they had convictions for felonies that you may not want to work with that person, and also may cause you to be very concerned about what they would do for the name and reputation of your business. So at first, it's kind of like what I call KYD, know your developer, at its simplest base. And we will be offering that with List, where people can, as they pay for the List service and sign up, they can do a basic KYD. I do a track. I make sure that the information documents they give me, the identity documents they give me, are actual and legitimate and real. We have a means of doing that on an international basis in a lot of instances. And then from there, it's a matter of vetting and scoring what we consider the risk. Because again, 95% of all tokens on the ERC chain, not including the BSC chain, will likely fail in the first 90 days, either because of malfeasance, mismanagement, or pure bad luck. Okay, so we
I'm
look
sorry,
at
could
those
you repeat that
factors.
again? Did you say 85% or 90%? What was the percentage again?
95% we believe will fail in the first 30 days. 85% is the root bottom that we believe will fail because of rug pulls. Okay, when you add in mismanagement, you just add in pure bad luck, it actually goes up to 95%.
That's a crazy amount, people. So pay attention to what the attorney is saying here. The majority of projects don't make it basically through the starting gate. That's crazy.
Well, and this is something that's very important. That people ask us, why would you dox? It's just a marketing play. No, when you dox, you put your name and reputation on the line. Our chart could be a lot better, but we haven't given up. We're working to restructure. We're working on building a very solid sales team. We have new events and opportunities coming through. Right. And if you look at our chart compared to a lot of teams, they would have thrown in the towel. They would have done what we call a shrug pull. And we've seen token shrug pull at well above 15 million market cap. And we haven't, because 1,800 plus people have trusted us with their money. And we believe personally and morally that we owe them an opportunity to deliver on what we said we would do. So we have a business that has a token, and we'll start showing hopefully in April that the revenue we're taking in will be going to burn and buy the supply as part of what we refer to as revenue as utility. I know revenue as utility was first coined by me because I checked it on Twitter, and I emailed myself the first Twitter post I did. Sorry. I like having evidence.
It seems like the only utility should be that. How much money are you generating from whatever you're doing? That should be the only utility, like the bottom line of the utility, at least.
Well, it should. And to fairness, I know List is doing it. Theirs is a little more extenuated, but it is real, because the reality is we're using that revenue we gain as part of doing our vetting, our scoring, and also our launch pad, because we are working with tokens where the people who want to launch those tokens or have launched those tokens, they love us, but they don't necessarily love the people that are critics of us. They may be like, hey, I know this influencer may never buy our token, but we don't want them singling us out. We don't want them attacking us. So a lot of people come to us in confidence and anonymity, and we oblige it because I understand. And we helping them launch. We're testing their contracts. We're making sure that when a foreign developer that isn't doxed is giving them a smart contract code, it will do what it says it will do. And we have the skills and expertise to do that on our team. And I think that's one thing that sets us apart, that, and Doc says this a lot more eloquently than I do, is you have over 30 years of IT background, tech experience, and things of that nature. I could bore you to death on my IT background. I could bore you to death on my internet technology.
Okay, well, let's not do that.
Right.
Let's not do boring. Let's do exciting. So what is
Okay.
it? Does somebody bring you a contract, or are you just out there vetting random contracts to see if they're good? Like, what's the process? Do someone that's invested in your token, do they come to you and say, listen, I'm looking at this particular project. Will you take a peek-see at the contract and let me know if it's legit? Well, how does that run? How do you do it?
Well, the volume right now is people who want to get vetted with us and people who want to launch a token, people who are seeing what our competition is like, non-dox players, people people that aren't willing to execute contracts where we are, that have teeth. So right now our volume is so high as far as helping to launch contracts that have strong code, that's tested, that will have a logged background on what's being tested. But some of us do like to cast grenades, I guess, where we research contracts and we kind of look at, okay, what's the prediction for this having trouble? What's for the issue of this rugging, stuff like that. So some of that does though go on behind the scenes, but right now, because of the influx of people that want us to help them launch, that want to get vetted, that want to show they can stand forward where others can't, we're, I think, mostly just focused on the services side. If someone does go, hey, I want you to take a look and give me a rating this contract, we'll do it. The price is kind of up in the air right now because we're probably, for every one of those, we're probably getting 10 people that I don't want to be vetted. They want to have a token launch.
So that's your gig. The developers come to you and say, listen, I want the RMDoxx stamp of approval certificate, audit my contract. This way I can display it on the website that, in fact, RMDoxx checked us out and we're legit.
Absolutely. And we're going forward with influencer vetting as well, influencer rating, where we pull backgrounds. Lord is a little bit better at the Wayback Machine than I am, because even though you think you delete something, the internet, it's forever. I hate to say it, folks, but we are working on building, we have to have it in conformity with what I call the Rule 290, where we can publish it, stuff like that. And we give influencers a chance to really step forward and shine where they're making those true attempts to assess and investigate a token for its value, its safety, and its team, versus those who are just shilling whatever's coming through the door and handing them a check. So our plan is to be a presence in the crypto space that people don't fear, they don't hate, and in fact, they go, these people will help me where others won't. These people will not take advantage of me where others won't. And when these people say they're going to give me a product that I can take and I can hold and I can value, I know they value their reputation and will deliver.
Yeah, no, I want to add to that a little bit. When we first came in the space, just because you mentioned it, when we first came in the space, we were doing a lot of research on other tokens that we weren't necessarily asked to do. There were certain things that happened. There was rugs and such. I mean, there's some more famous ones out there. I don't have to mention them right now, but we were looking more at tokens, doing a lot of research ourselves, you know, what causes a rug, and we were, it kind of, and I'm only bringing this up because you said it, it kind of gave us this picture of being somewhat the crypto police, and that's something we've been trying to shed for a long time now, that image. So as Dave said, the main thing that is bringing us work right now is community members and other developers, because they're approaching us, and we're dealing with over a dozen right now, and then 3 tokens that we're helping launch right now as well. So those are being brought to us by the community and friendly devs that we know. So no, like at this point, I know Dave said that we do go out individually and look at some tokens and we have the conversation amongst ourselves, but we are trying actively not to do that as much, and instead just to work on the
You're trying to shed the crypto cop. You don't want to be known as that. You want to be known as.
No, not at all. Like, Because I was getting DMs from people that were threatening. B, I was getting DMs from people that would say, "Can you look into this? I think they stole my money." And I'm like, "Hey, and you have to entertain some of that. You really do, because they could be
Right.
right."
Especially if
But
it's a
then,
big holder and, you have to kind of do it, you know, you have to be
yeah,
friendly to your big holders. But I mean, you can't audit everybody because then, you'll have 50 requests every single day with someone saying, take a look at this one, take a look at that one. It's just not doable.
well, I mean, like I have an app. Well, it's a Telegram group, anyways, that talks about the recent launches. I have 186 today that launched on Uniswap, and
That's it?
Uniswap is
Only
good too.
186
Yeah,
tokens
today,
launched today.
today.
That's crazy.
So, I mean, how many of those can we look at and find something negative about? I don't know. Like Dave said, 85, 90%.
99%, probably
Is that
99%.
is that really helping anybody? We quickly learned that it probably isn't, and that's not what we want to do. We want to be, there for support and education, and that's the direction that we're taking now.
Well, and
When did you have that shift? When exactly did that kind of shift?
Um, Probably, I don't know, Dave. What, December? That's when we started talking about maybe doing something a little bit different. And it doesn't change our morals or our end. It doesn't change what we were trying to do originally. It's just adding more things to what we were trying to do originally. So, but I would say probably December.
And you did launch in late October of 2021.
Yeah, October 16th. Actually, it's 5 months
16th.
today. Yeah.
Oh, well, happy anniversary. 5 months today. Congratulations.
Yeah, 5
That's
months
awesome.
is like we've been married going on 20 years now, Dave. That's what it feels like.
It does feel like that sometimes when, yeah, especially when you're working very hard, long days, long hours. It's, I understand the pressures. And so how many, when you say, um, you know, making money is your utility, how many people exactly have you helped? Are you bringing money in right now?
Yes, we currently have revenue coming through the door. We're planning an event for the middle to late of April. Really, it's for our diamond hands who've stuck with us. We do anticipate with the sales force we're going to be creating soon, because we do want to bring in the people of the non-crypto world who have strong sales backgrounds. We want to give them a flexible ability to participate with us. I have a background in employment law as well. I've done a few employment handbooks. Also, I could wax on about independent contract and whatnot for hours, but I won't do that. So we are really looking to go very strong into having a sales force that can explain it, that can help it. And as we've gotten very comfortable with launching tokens, we anticipate more people will be coming to us to launch their tokens, because we've had people who've told us, I've been looking for 6 months and I just found you, and I would love to have you help me launch a token. So we're giving them a lot of information they didn't know existed. And we're like, I had someone come to me the other day and they were asking, hey, this token wants me to take over their holder base and kind of do this weird merging. And I walked them through it and I'm like, it could be legit, but the people you're dealing with aren't doxxed. And here's all the myriad of ways things could go horribly wrong. Well, we helped launch them. And they know anytime they reach out to me or us on the team, we're going to give them a sober analysis, because we want them to do well. Because the people who come to us that do well, they're walking billboards, and we want them to do well. We want everyone that comes with us to have a very strong shot at really achieving something in the space. So,
Right.
but we do want to get a little bit more aggressive on the sales side, and we're looking at building a sales force that'll be highly incentivized. So, and it will be a strong flex schedule. It's not going to be like insurance sales.
Okay. So, when do you plan on doing that and how will you pay for it?
Well, we're going to so this is part of how we're rolling it out laterally. Okay. Up to the 100 million market cap, the people who we do take on as a sales force will be paid starting at 500 million tokens a week. We have a 10 trillion supply that has shrunk a little bit because we, of course, have the dead wallet. So they're paid 500 million tokens a week, and then they're getting 25% of the net of all tokens that close with us. So let's say a token gives us let's say we get 2 Ethereum tokens and then a portion of the token supply for vetting. Okay, it's pure hypothetical. So 25% net, which in that case, because it's pure vetting, we would consider that net. So half an Ethereum would go out to the pool of the people working for us, people who we currently have now, and the people coming into Salesforce. We will retain the right and sole discretion to give out bonuses to those people who we think are really shining. And at the same time, because we have the revenue as utility, the buy and burn model, 50% of revenue in that form goes to buying and burning the token. So they're getting Ethereum themselves, they're getting their base pay of the weekly tokens, and they're actually growing their bag through the buy and burn model. Okay. So that's partly how we're paying for it. So a small amount of tokens will be going out, but the contracts will guarantee those out to the 100 million market cap. So you could have people, if they're strong salespeople, all quite feasibly, let's say they're only getting 2 billion tokens a month, they're making $20,000 a month as part of our sales force. Because I have a background in sales. I know a lot of strong salespeople who would love a flex schedule.
Right.
And that's
I'm
really what
sure.
we're going to be offering is a true flex schedule, and basically an open hunting ground, as some people might call it.
Now, what's to prevent them from dumping the token? Like, what if you pay them with tokens and then they just dump them? What does that do to your chart?
Well, and that is a risk we do take in it, and that's why we have the buy and burn part of it that will will mitigate a lot of that issue. At the same time, 100 million market cap's far a ways away, and we will have terms in the contract that, look, if you want to quit and sell your tokens, nothing we can do. You don't want to try and restrain people's pay. That's all kinds of federal law issues you don't want to do. But if you want to keep working with us, if you, at the 100 million market cap, you wanted to sell more than $6,000 in tokens, you got to give us a 72-hour heads up. So we either buy it from you out of our personal wallets, or we plan for basically buying back the chart. So if there is a dump, a cascade, we would buy it back. So you have this area where you have a very motivated team of people that want to constantly close tokens. You have our deflationary nature as well. So tokens are always going to the dead wallet. So if you have an Ethereum in purchases and then you have an Ethereum in sales, you will not revert back to that same level because of the deflationary nature. So you'll actually, when I've run the math a few times, you're going to gain at least 5% on that floor, just on that just on that basis of one Ethereum purchase or one Ethereum sale. That's part of the thing. The floor is always rising. Okay, that's part of what we're working on. That's part of what the math does. We like to refer to it jokingly as the squeeze, and we believe it's going to start rocketing up when we have a larger sales force and we fully implement the revenue as utility model come mid to late April. We're working on those great big candles that people like to see.
Yes, people love the big green candles. Why don't you walk me through your tokenomics?
Well, right now the tokenomics are incredibly simple. It's a total 10% tax, 3% to liquidity, 7% to reflections. And what are reflections? Reflections, quite simply, are based on your percentage of ownership. 7% of every token sold goes to that pool. Now that gets split between the dead wallet, because the dead wallet is considered a holder as far as the math and the code is concerned. But let's say you hold 1% of supply and 1 million tokens are sold. Okay, that means there's 70,000 tokens are at play. You're going to get 1% of that 70,000 tokens. Okay, so this enables people to more diamond hand because their bag is growing as tokens are being bought and sold. Also, you're kind of hedging your bet that Ethereum is going to go up in value at the same time. Our market cap does rise and fall as the value of Ethereum sees to go up and down at the same time. So we based it on a long-term play. One of the things we developers have done is we've locked till December of this year. We've locked our token supply. We have consultants that we paid that locked their tokens as well. Theirs is a little bit on investing schedule. But this was all to create a sense of security that the developers will not dump on our holders. We don't want to do that to people, because I'll be frankly honest. I want a passive income for life. This is one of the ways I want to do it. I want this token to succeed. So when I go into other projects that I consider more narrowly focused in the real world, but using cryptocurrency as a means of launching and maintaining them, people can trust my name and reputation. Sort of
Hey,
like
can I ask you a
Elon Musk
question?
did PayPal to Tesla.
Okay. Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
That's what I'm here for, right? Ask you, I hope. Um, hey, where's your dev wallet budget? Where's your marketing fee?
So
You don't
we
have
are
any of that in your tokenomics?
no, we are a pure reflections token. We try to do everything possible to limit the amount of money we're using for those purposes. We've largely been moving not to pay for influencers because we found, which no one educated on us, was most of them were a waste of money. That's what we found out very hard. So we focused on building an in-house marketing team. That's why we have very strong scores on Lunar Crush, which I believe only has 3,500 tokens at any given time. And we're in the top 100 typically on a daily basis. So marketing is also something we're doing in-house for ourselves. We do like coming on your shows. I believe we've paid small amounts to some people on occasion because everyone's got to eat. We want to be taken seriously. But we did have a marketing person at one time, and unfortunately that didn't work out. But we really want to keep things in-house. We want to focus on what we can do better. Because every time I got to pay money to someone outside of the team, outside of our mods, who we do pay generously, and outside of our sales force that we'll have, I believe we're losing money significantly. We don't always get the ROI we want, and I don't think we often get the ROI we deserve.
So you're paying them in tokens from the developer
No,
wallet?
we do pay we do pay Ethereum at times as well. We do pay USDT at times when we do pay people.
So this is
So
coming out of your pocket?
well, we have an operations wallet. I don't have the exact address off the top of my head, but it's something we posted on Reddit where we will take tokens from that and we will sell it because that does gain reflections. So we will sell to create the UST or the Ethereum at times as well. So one of the things we're working on is eliminating, and that's part of why we're moving to the restructuring, is to eliminate any and all downward pressure on the chart. We want to we want to operate by eat what you kill model.
Okay. Now, as far as your whole thing, what you do, are you unique or do you have a lot of competition out there?
I don't know if we have competition. We had people that I considered, in my personal opinion, to be counterfeiters. I don't know exactly I don't know if they do anything close to what we do. Supposedly they read and analyze code, which is a small fragment of what we do.
You're talking about TARP. That's what.
We're not talking about anybody actually.
But I'm just saying companies or tokens, projects like that, or maybe other ones. That's people, when you hear that, you think of them. So you're not them. You're something totally different because they do go out there and snipe contracts. They're looking to see, like you said, lobbing grenades. That's kind of what they do a lot. So you're different than that. You're looking for people to come to you to say, validate us as a legitimate investment so people can trust us. We want your stamp of approval.
We know who those projects you're referring to are, obviously. My understanding is they have a space, they do good things for their customers, and that'll be my official stance on those other projects officially. There's been things said in the past, and being that I'm trying to personally and as a team turn over it, readjust my attitude, if you will. I'm going to restate that I think they're doing good things in their own terms, and we wish them success. I really mean that. But what we're doing, I would say, Doc and I have had conversations, in a good way to kind of generally put this is, if we were a general contractor of crypto, that those specific projects you're talking about, they are trades professionals. They do their own thing. And what we're trying to do is be a general where we hire several different trades to complete, we'll call it a house build. They're professionals in their own capacity, and we're trying to do a house build as in consulting. So
But
I
right, to
know.
make it very simple for people,
Mhm.
it's totally different than them.
Yeah.
They're looking at tokens where people come to you and say, "Will you please check out us in our check out us in the contract, give us your stamp of approval." So it's different than that. So you don't, is there any other token or project that's like this? Because it sounds like you're very unique.
Well, no,
I've
and in that way, I would definitely. Sorry, Dave. In that way, I would definitely agree with you. We are very unique. I was just trying to kind of sum up maybe what they do versus what we do, but in a non-controversial matter. So, but yes, I would say we are
Oh, I didn't
definitely.
even know there was any kind of controversy with
There's
you
not.
guys.
There
I'm
definitely.
sorry. Shit, if
There's
I knew
not.
that, I wouldn't even brought him up.
There's not. But no, no. I just I'm trying very hard, as I said earlier, to be positive going forward. So
Oh, I can tell you're politicking the totally right way. You're doing it well. I see
yeah,
what you're saying.
I'll tell you, for someone that was painted as the police, um, we are not acting like it. I can assure you. So to get back to your root question, and I'm sorry I didn't mean to take that in a totally different direction. No, I don't think anyone out there is trying to do what we're doing, and I can certainly say no one's replicating what we're doing. Just like maybe some other projects are unique on their own, and I'm sure they're doing what they're doing very well.
Right. So there is another well, I'm sure there's several ones that's just basically know your customer, know your client. You're doing more than what they're doing, right? Like it's some of those don't seem too legit. They're just looking at the developer and that's it. Like, okay, we know who they are, but what if they rug pull? How do you get the information out of those people?
Dave, I think she's referring more to the individual KYC's companies. So is that something you want to answer?
Well, we learned that CERTIC has a KYC system. I haven't thoroughly investigated it. And when we spoke about it, the team and I, really Doc and I, we went, we consider ourselves beyond CERTIC because of the lengths we go to in investigating people. But again, I say I haven't fully investigated their system. I don't know if it's just, hey, flash us an ID and your face and then we're done. There was one other token, and I'm loath to name them because I don't want to be seen as criticizing them unfairly. But when I looked at their website, the impression I got, and I could be wrong, again, I have to be the lawyer here,
You're probably not.
was basically you just flash them your ID and they'll say they have your information, that you're doxxed. If that's it,
Castle.
I don't know Castle. I apologize, but I will look them up. That's one I haven't looked at. There was one on the BSC chain. I saw they were being interviewed. I looked them up real quick and I'm like, this just looks like you're taking an ID and a picture, and I could pay a homeless person or I could get someone on Fiverr to do the same thing. So
Right.
I don't think that's sufficient.
Right. I don't either. That's why I
You
was
know,
not a fan. So that's why I really, when I got the message from Minnie to do the AMA, I agreed because I think it's very interesting. I think you're going above and beyond what these other tokens or projects are doing. And it's not only to validate good, legit projects, it makes you feel good about investing in them, but you're also protecting, uh, you know, the investors. And I like that. So we do have a question from Mr. Cryptic. I don't know if that's one of your peeps. Do you trace the dev wallets?
we have at times. It's something we do. That isn't necessarily part of the service, but it's something I know I try to do is independently as well. We also, I know I independently am following a series of tokens that I believe, or I'm of the opinion, and I could be wrong. Again, I have to cover myself legalese. That are, let's say, less than optimally set up to do things that they're supposed to do. So some people refer to master dev. I don't think he's the only person that engages in that type of conduct. For those who are familiar with him, I believe there are other groups And when I'm interacting with people, I look at that collected and scraped information, because I do believe at some point some of those people are going to get a wild hair. They're trying to take a shot at cracking us, because cracking is as a term in the hacking community for when you absolutely prove security measures are mute and they have no value. So I believe at some point someone will try to crack us, and that's something I watch for.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they're wanting to crack you. They want to crack everybody. I think I
Well,
had a cracker in my stream the other day. Jumped on. I didn't send them a link. They just appeared. How does that happen? I'm kidding you. You don't have to answer that one. Moving on, we have, I guess this has got to be one of your peeps because he was here bright and early, Mr. Game Players. Is that you guy? He's talking about a whole ecosystem. So
I
why don't we start talking about your whole, I've been basically focused on certain areas. I'm going to open up the floor here and let you guys talk about your complete ecosystem. What else you've got going on? I know a little bit about Zion, but not that much.
So one of the larger things, and one of the, I think the most important missions for us devs on the team, is we want to create a space that's very hospitable to mass adoption. And we believe we're pursuing that through what we call the Doxxed Alliance. List is one of those people we consider to be a part of the Doxxed Alliance. They got vetted with us. They got scored. We got verified. If you talk to Cameron, he likes the joke that he could almost hear his glove snap going on, because we were very thorough with them. And we believe they will help contribute to a culture of transparency and accountability, where people have the option to pick from vetted tokens and tokens that have either fully doxed on their own or have been what we called RMDoxxed. So that's part of the ecosystem we're working towards building. We have people who we're working with that we believe will become preferred vendors. I believe Charge, which is done by Binu. I apologize, it's been a long day. I wasn't preparing to come on today. But Charge is going to be doing some revolutionary stuff in the rental programs. So we're hoping to help them in an ongoing basis, talking with them, spaces. And then we've started attending other groups that are really pushing for a culture of accountability and transparency. So we kind of look at it as we have a business with a token, and the token, when it starts to rebound, will become a PR tool, because people like big green candles. They like to dance around fires. They're not necessarily interested in hunting for gemstones that might have diamonds inside. But we believe the ecosystem will get there, where more and more tokens come with us and they come through us. People go, oh, I can take a chance in crypto. I can look at the tokens that are set up for possible passive income. I can look at those tokens where the devs are still working every day to make a success of their token, rather than in some circumstances where you have one dev and one dev only the team who's not doxed, and they disappear for 10 days without a word, and you don't know if your token's rugging, you don't know if your liquidity pair is being destroyed, you have no clue. We don't want that lack of entitlement. We actually want to create a culture of entitlement for investors, because again, we're working towards mass adoption.
Okay. So can we talk about your system of how you score people? Like what's a good score? What's a bad score? Do you have pass, fail? What's it? And who got your lowest score and who got your highest score?
Um,
We can't talk about the lowest score,
Oh, come
but
on. That's what we're here for. We want the
so
dish. Can you
I'll
give
let
us a
Dave.
hint?
I'll let Dave take the majority of that question. But the reason why we can't talk about the lowest score or some scores in particular at all is when people come to us. Part of the initial conversation is that regardless of the score, whether it's a 0 or a 99, which are both impossible, you couldn't get it. But whether it's a 0 or a 99, it has to be approved by the devs of that token to be released. That's the only way that it's fair. And the reason why we do that is because if someone came to us and they said, hey, can you take a look at this pre-launch? Give us a score, tell us what you think. And then we came back to them and said, look, you're around a 55 or a 60. Part of the agreement is that we go back to them and say, these are some things you could change to up your score. And if they decide not to do those things based on the initial agreement, we can't release that score unless we have their permission. So we cannot talk about any super low scores because there has been some that
Fine, no fun. Let's talk about the high scores. Who's
Well,
got the high score? Well,
I'll leave
first of
that
all,
to
how do you
our
score it? What are the different criteria that you're looking for to give somebody a particular score? And then your big high scorer, or a couple
Dave.
if you have.
You're our fun div.
So Doc and I, Doc has a background in behavioral sciences and data information, and he has a long, long curriculum vitae of accomplishments that are just great for this. So, how to try to explain it and keep it not boring. So, we're looking at a myriad of variables from legal background of the people. I mean, basically, if they have troubles with various crimes, stuff like that, we're looking at their past experiences. We're looking at who the developer is, the actual smart contract coder. That will play a role at times. Um, Again, sometimes we find stuff people didn't realize, especially about the people who write the contract codes for them. That's a possibility. We don't want to give away the secret sauce because we know
Okay,
people will try to retro engineer it,
I
but
hear you. Okay.
it's a blend between the behavioral sciences and things we look at in venture capital investment, where you can't just take someone's word and you can't take their credit rating. You actually have to look at someone who has a history of, are they truly intent on this enterprise, and are they going to be here 6 months from now?
Because if they've rugged before, they'll probably rug again. There's repeat offenders out there.
There are
So,
many repeat offenders, and that's why doxing, when we first came on the scene, was seen to be, they're like, doxing doesn't matter, doxing doesn't matter. Well, I won't speak to those motivations. So it's, if I had to explain it simply, it's almost like insurance underwriting. We're not in insurance, we don't do insurance, but it's almost like an insurance underwriting trying to assess the risk of what they're dealing with. And again, we don't give financial advice. We give you a risk score that we've come up with. Okay. And you have to do that as part of your overall research. But the security is someone's actually taken time to investigate the identity of these people. They didn't simply take a driver's license, go, oh, yeah, it's you. Because again, fake IDs are relatively easy to make even in this day and age. And unfortunately, this is something that is incredibly new in the space. Will it be new 2 years from now? I hope not. I hope it will be a very common and mainstream thing, because that'll mean, in all likelihood, we succeeded in what we set out to do.
okay, now the high score. Can we talk about the high scores?
A high score that I feel comfortable discussing is List. They got over 80. So to kind of explain our scores, we're looking for anything between 60 and 100. Now, 100 is virtually impossible, as Doc likes to say. It would have to take Vitalik Buterin, Elon Musk, and the top minds of Google coming together and doing a token. That's the only way you get within spitting distance of 100.
Really? It's that stringent? Can they do
It's
extra credit to make up for it? I mean, it's
no, no, no,
impossible?
no. No, we've prided ourselves in trying to have a very transparent uh, way of making sure that people don't think anyone's ever going to get 100. The chance of someone getting a 0 is almost nil. In fact, in some of our testing on any random given day, most tokens have a chance of getting at least a 35. Okay, based on our criteria. What we're looking for is those tokens who are going to get at least a 60 typically. Okay. We really want to push tokens to get a 70, and we want to celebrate those over an 80. Okay. Some of those things that might affect it that I'm okay in disclosing is we look for multi-sig wallets. What's the procedure for making sure no one could go, oh, there was a bad dev or we got hacked or some nonsense. Multi-sig wallets are the cornerstone, I think, of creating a lot of confidence and securing the space. One of the things we saw in most rug pulls, 0 multi-sig safe. Someone said, oh, a dev got hacked or a dev ran away, and oh, by the way, I don't happen to know who that dev is. We never doxed to each other. It's a little frightening. We are looking for certain backgrounds, and there are times where we find a developer who's very trustworthy and is linked to a lot of successful tokens, so that might have an effect as well. So the problem is when someone's saying, hey, our dev is in a foreign nation, we don't know their name, we can't even we're not even going to give you any of the wallets we've interacted with, we go, okay, well, that's going to be a problem. Because we don't know if you're interacting with somebody who's just responsible for the last 30 rug pulls or not. We want to deal with people who we can kind of suss out, we can kind of work with. And again, that's where the risk assessment comes in. The less we can find about somebody, the more risky we consider them to be. Based on, because Doc, to his credit, went through over the scores of 250,000 tokens. And again, he's the genius, and this is why I wish he'd been on tonight. And this was part of the criteria. And again, every rug we use as research, basically. Every infamous rug we try to use as part of our research and assessing and strengthening and modifying the algorithms that we use. And part of the craziness is, and why I think it works is it takes at least 3 devs to render a score. So it's not something that can be hacked. If someone got a hold of our software or AIs, whatever we may or may not be using, they're not going to have Zion in their hands. You actually have 3 devs who have to sit down together and discuss it.
Okay. So let me ask a question. We've seen this in many tokens where someone outsources their smart contract, they go ahead and they launch the token, and then the next thing you know, all of their liquidity starts to be drained because the coder somehow coded the back door in there. So that's something that you're looking for too. You would, if somebody presented it to you, you'd be able to protect them and say, hey, this is a problem.
That is part of what we do. We make sure it's not a honeypot. We make sure there are no back doors. We do a rigorous testing to make sure that it has a strong likelihood. And we make sure that testing is openly logged so it can be verified. So if God forbid it did not work, we could sit there and go, look, this was not thrown right up. We went through it and Ethereum did what Ethereum did. The Ethereum blockchain, what the Ethereum blockchain did. This was not rushed. This was not ramshackled. This was taken apart in a professional and intelligent basis.
So if a dev comes to you and he scores or she scores not great, they can do whatever you suggest to get a better score, to clean up the areas that you think they're lacking in, and they can improve their score.
We look at it as like in the IT industry, you might hire a security company to go through and assess your weaknesses. Okay. When someone goes through the vetting process, it's their property. It belongs solely to them. And they might get a 68 and go, that's a great score. I'm like, well, if you do X, Y, and Z, you probably would break 80, but it might take you a month to do that. Do you want to wait? And sometimes they go, yeah. They may be in that situation. They may not have a multi-sig. They may not understand the necessity for a multi-sig. Okay. So those are things, those are some of the areas we would help them improve. Also, in some instances, we watch to make sure, for those who launch, we watch to make sure that they're actually locking their liquidity within the first 2 to 3 hours of launching. That's something we think is very important. We want, if it's on the Ethereum chain, we want to see a Unicrypt lock for a minimum of 6 months. Really, we really want to see a year. So those are things that are going to have an effect at times as well.
Okay, so that's something you evaluate after launch. Do most people come to you with a review after launch, or are they doing it prior to launch?
Well, more people are coming into us to get launched, and that seems to be where there's a lot of demand in the market. There's a lot of unsurety with these other actors they're talking to, and more people seem to be coming to us and regarding their launching needs, getting help doing that and that kind of stuff. So we're looking more and more at how do we help people launch strong, good tokens and keep them from getting taken advantage of if they did use a non-Doxx developer.
So let's say, I don't know if you heard of a project called Coyote Coin that had their launch about 2 days ago. And when they were doing the testing for their contract, they had to change a word from private to public. Now, when they launched, they forgot to change that word back to private. So someone was able to run a malicious code on them and steal about $300,000 worth of their liquidity. Is that something you would have been able to catch, or no, because they changed the word and it was transactional?
Depending on their degree of comfort in having us ride shotgun in the launching process, would affect that. If they're comfortable with having us ride shotgun, basically being on Zoom with them as they're doing it,
Oh, so you
we
do
would
that? Like, you sit there and like, "Okay, let's launch it together," and you watch them do the, liquidity and everything?
we
That's something that you do?
we offer it as part of the package. Of course, that does affect the price, but it's one of the things we do help do. It's one of the things
So, man, they
we
would have,
offer.
if they had just hired you to do their launch, because now they have to eat that $300,000. So this should be a lesson to anybody that's thinking about launching a token. Whatever these guys are charging, it sounds like it could save you in the long run, because, like I said, those devs now have to eat that $300,000. If they had these guys, maybe it wouldn't have happened. So it sounds like, I don't know what you charge, unless you want to tell us, but it sounds like it would have definitely have been well worth it. Because I find a lot of projects, they don't have a lot of money, so it looks like they're trying to do everything on the cheap. But there's some things that you cannot afford to do. Like, you have a car, maybe you don't have the money for an oil change, but if you don't change the oil, your car is inevitably going to break down. Then you have to buy a whole new car. Wouldn't it have been just cheaper to do the oil change type of thing? So it sounds like if I ever launched a token, which probably will never happen, but if I did, I definitely would hire you for your services, just to cover all of my bases, just to let my community know I'm a legit project. I have the RMDoxx stamp of approval. Are you with me? That's what I think.
Well, and
Not
that's the idea. And that's the idea. And again, every token's going to have different comfort levels with having us ride shotgun. List, I did it independently. I didn't tell anybody it was a RMDoxx. A couple people knew who I was. I didn't tell anybody to buy until I not buy. But I did, when the contract got launched, someone recognized my voice. They pulled me into a private chat to look at the code, and they got a little worried because there was a deployer wallet, and we went, no, and I had explained to them, they had used somebody who had helped deploy to other projects that did well, that hadn't rugged. Okay, so that was the only minor thing. And then we had Cameron, I believe, disclose that in the VC chat. So it was probably a little nerve wracking for them. I was making points. I was saying things. For people who use bots, they probably hated my guts when they launched, because I said, put up the code, but do not enable trading for at least an hour. And bots were buying that thing left and right. They were just putting money in the liquidity. And finally, they had to enable trading in less than an hour because there were innocent people making buys. They're like, okay, but there were certain things. It can be a stressful process. I remember the day we launched RMDoxx, me and another dev who is Haas and his first name's Haas. He goes by Lord Avicenna. Him and I were awake over 36 hours straight the day of the launch. We were just grinding and testing and doing everything we could to make sure we were 100% and having that code ready to go. So there's a little bit of and to their credit, they did lock, I believe, in the first 2 hours, in less than 2 hours, but it wasn't showing up that there was a Unicrypt lock. And I said, hey, man. And he's like, oh, okay. And just because there's millions of things going on, and you need someone just kind of like watching over your back and ticking the boxes who've been there. I can give someone a guide on how to refurbish a Ford F-150, 1985 F-150 in diesel, but that doesn't mean they're going to know how to do it. They sometimes need someone like, hey, this is the tool you want to use. This is the thing you want to use. This is where you want to use Loctite. This is where you don't want to use Loctite. That kind of scenario. And again, I take pride in putting the success of our customers. I want them to be successful. So I also, where they are comfortable letting me shotgun, I will shotgun.
Right. So what I want to clarify, because Oreo in the chat is saying, I don't like the idea of getting an audit and opting not to release it just because you don't like it. So they're not working for the people that are investors. They are working for the development team. So they go to them for an audit, And, people don't have to release their audits. People, when they are opening a company, they don't release their tax records for everybody to. It's kind of like that. If they want to, they can, but they're not working for the investor. They're working for the development team. Did I
Well,
get that right?
there has to be mutual trust. If people believe they're going to come to us and they get a bad score and they're in danger of having us put it out there to the public, they won't come to us. We need people to be comfortable knowing, hey, if I get a bad score, I have a chance at redemption. I have a chance of making improvements. I have a chance at looking at things that can give me a better score. If they think we're just going to run out there and put them on blast, they'll never come to us. And I can tell you right now, that's very common. Like, it's like you go to a lawyer, you may have some deeply personal stuff to share about your case. If you thought they were just going to run out and put it all over Twitter, you wouldn't tell them what's going on. You got to have, people have to feel secure and confident that when they're talking to us, we take their situation seriously and we hold it in confidence. Okay. Because it's their service. It's their property. We're not a publicly traded company. We're not owned by the public. Okay. We're a service provider.
I'll add to that a little bit too. I mean, I understand what Oreo's saying, but for example, if somebody came to us and asked us to review basically everything A to Z pre-launch, they're probably going to announce it at some point. And I don't want to cross any lines here, but they're probably going to announce it at some point in some way or another. And if you don't hear from us or them within a certain amount of time, we'll have to let you draw your own conclusions. But we still don't necessarily own that information, and it has to be released by them. And the main reason we do it, though, is to allow people to have a chance to work on their score. It's not a matter of hiding anything from anybody whatsoever. We just think it's important that people get a chance to work on something that we may consider to be a threat.
We have another question in the chat from someone named Doxx. Don't know if they're affiliated with you. Does RMDoxx offer just a KYC identity verification? Any recommendations for a KYC service?
Well, it's what I would call KYD, know your developer. We will be announcing that. That would simply be a document identification verification. Basically, if someone gives me a driver's license or a passport, I'm going to run it down and make sure that it's an authentic document and the person shown to be in it is that person. That is something we plan on releasing soon.
So you are going to do something like that. What? I don't mean to cut you off, but I don't want to forget this question. Are you going to offer a service to people who are just investors that say, I want you to check out this development and this, I'm looking to go ape into this particular token. Can you look at it to let me know what you think? Are there any red flags here? Because I think that could be good.
We are getting demands for that. We're looking at and trying to figure out how to price it in a way that makes sense for us and makes sense for the consumers. If someone comes and goes, hey, do that, and we go, well, that's $1,000, they might go, oh, never mind. So we have to, we're probably, we've got a few people who've come to us who we know are holders of ours, we've talked to for a while, so we may start that process soon. But again, we're in the middle of our restructuring a little bit as far as bringing on the sales force and stuff like that. Is also for also optimizing for revenue as utility as we as probably mid to late April.
So also, I'll say this, kind of what you're hinting at, I think anyways, at least the way I'm taking it is somewhat of a subscription service. And the only thing, although it is a good idea and it would provide information to potential investors, the only thing that would concern me is if we were to look at a token and draw our own conclusions without having the input of the devs, it might not be really fair to that particular project. So say, for example, someone approached us and they said, hey, Kyle, I'll give you 10 grand to look into this project because I'm about to ape in 200 grand. And then we look at it and we say, yeah, like it's a medium risk, but we never got the opportunity to speak to those devs. It's not really fair, A, for us to accept that money, and B, to give anyone any investment advice without talking to the devs, because there might be something as simple as a very little question that they didn't get an opportunity to answer. So that's
So,
something we've got to be really careful with.
so lawyer mode, I have to say again, Kyle, we don't do financial advice. We wouldn't necessarily give information about the risk assessment.
Okay,
Okay.
well then
I know. Hey, you weren't planning to be on tonight. We both live long days, and it's okay. I'm the one who has to do all the CYA. I get it. And
I'm the lawyer here. What do you mean?
you're the beauty. I'm the brains.
Oh boy. Two lawyers. Did you guys see what happened to Shiba Inu with the two E's? They have to relaunch their
Sheba,
token.
like SHEEBA.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
They have to do a V2. So, do you know anything about that? Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because that's huge breaking news. Is that something you would have seen? You would have caught? You would have been like, "Hey." I think that was an error though. Somebody sent tokens from some. I didn't watch it because Sandstorm was supposed to go on at 8 o'clock, the time we were supposed to start. So I didn't catch it, but I started to watch it just as you guys popped in. So, are you familiar with that?
I have information coming in from anonymous sources.
Okay.
I haven't begun a forensic analysis of it. Um, I will say that there was a time I was getting at least one of these a day. That were people were coming to me with a project a day. And this part of what led me to focus more on the revenue as utility model because it's not that uncommon. What these mistakes, innocent or not, good faith or not, because I don't know the situation I don't want to speak to in particular, and I don't want to get into it. So this is kind of where the headache is. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to do my deep dive. I'm going to see where it may have information that can improve or alter or evolve the Zion process. But at this point, I can't comment on it. And sadly, this is not a bug. This is a feature of the community right now.
It is sad. That's why I wish you would do the thing for, investors. I
Well,
think that would be awesome and great.
well, okay. So our thinking was at one time, and again, we don't take anything to the table. We have a relatively small team at this time, and for our chart, we do a lot. That's the something Lord and I like to joke about. Um, it's not off the table. It may come at a later date, but we, based on the math, and this is where Doc and I get purely into math, based purely on the math, arguably the statistics. We are almost better off creating a collection of vetted tokens than we are trying to randomly go out there and assess tokens without having full access to the devs, without being able to assess who they are, because they may not want to dox. They may go, RMDoxx, that's nice. I looked at your chart. Why would I give a crap about what you have to say? So we're almost better off at this time carving out our ecosystem, cut a path in the desert and planting an oasis or creating an oasis.
I hear you. I just have a request if you can maybe do it. I'm just saying.
Nothing's off the
Then
table. I follow the money. That's if the market's there, the demand's there, and we can do good, I'm going to do it. Everybody, like I tell people, I'm not about ego. I'm about the money. I'm a very simple creature. Can I
of
do it
course you're a
legally?
lawyer
Yeah.
by
No,
the hour.
we're not about the money. No,
Uh-huh.
that's the wrong message.
Well,
That's
I
the right message. I'd be all about the money. Everybody wants their chart to go up. But I see what you mean. And when I said that, it was a lawyer joke. I was once married to an attorney. Everything's by the hour. Oh, you want to call me? That's 15 minutes. Even if the call just took 2, it's billable hours, 15 minutes.
Oh, I know. I have lawyers too. I have a few, but they're even though I've employed them for a while, I still can't talk to them as much as I talk to my lovely Dave here because I'd be broke. So
Right.
I agree with you.
It's crazy. So I think it sounds like a wonderful project. I know you've been around for a little bit. I'm glad that you finally made your way on over to the Crypto Queen channel, but I got you at long last. I apologize to the viewers that hung in there waiting for us. These things happen, but that's okay. We got it done. We got through it. So, are there any finishing touches or any leaks that you want to give us as far as what's around the corner for you guys?
I'll I'll just say because I know that we spoke with you real quick before we got on, that we sincerely apologize, Dave and I, for being late. We had an issue. One of the devs that was supposed to be on had an issue. I can't speak to the exact details of what happened, but I'll say that that particular dev prides himself on being extremely punctual. So this is very rare, very, very rare. And but it doesn't matter. It warrants an apology either way. And then in terms of things coming up, Dave touched on the influencer scoring that we're doing. We're working with 3 tokens right now to get them launched. When they come out, everybody's going to know exactly who they are. Dave touched on that too, because we have people approaching us that for sure. Everybody in this space knows for sure. But they're coming to us in a private matter because of some of the, I'm not going to lie, some of the police picture that we've been painted with. So, but I think that once people see what we're really trying to do and the services that we're really trying to provide and maybe should have provided from the beginning, they'll understand why we're still in it and why we're doing what we're doing. It's, but yes, we've been around for 5 months. It's not that long, but we don't plan on going anywhere whatsoever.
Right. And it sounds like if someone's interested in investing, now's a good time. Buy that dip, buy the red candle. But it seems like, poor Oreo, I don't know if he's one of your people. He's hung out here all night and he looks like he's asking a final question, and there's several question marks behind it. So I'll just ask it. When do we see inside Zion Report?
So
That,
Oreo,
no, that's my fault. There are legal things that I have to dot the I's and cross the T's on when we do things. We're making sure that's completely clean. So we put a lot more I think we try to put a lot of professionalism, and I'm an incredibly anal retentive person, especially when it comes to anything legal. I drive people nuts. So that I'm the one holding us up at the current moment on that. So they're just things I like to go through things about 3 or 4 times. I will go ahead and spend 3 or 4 hours of legal research on something just to make sure that we have a leg to stand on if if we're saying things, if we're communicating things. So that is my fault. I'm currently holding it up.
Okay. And my
Oreo,
apologies. Someone just said Oreo's a chick. Sorry, girl.
that's what I was just about to say. Yeah, the Oreo. And she'll be I can guarantee it, she'll be one of the first people to see it. She's actually asked us some really good questions. She has had us thinking and like when she first came into the community, she asked certain questions that other community members, they were like, well, why are you asking that? And to be honest with you, once we looked into the questions, they were very relevant and we answered them to the best of our ability. She keeps us on our toes. I'll say that. So I'm not surprised at all that she's asking, and she'll be one of the first people to see it.
We do make it a point of pride of trying to be responsive to our holders that interact with us, especially in Telegram. We let people ask questions. We don't kick people out. We are not quick to accuse anyone of FUD. Again, my personal belief is that we are an instrument in a market. And if we're not responding to the market, if we're not being accountable to the market, then we're just being absolute fools. So we typically try to take a lot of feedback from our community. We try to deal with stuff. If something we think would be alarming, we get on a VC, at least 2 or 3 devs that explain what's occurring, stuff like that. Even when I had COVID and the flu at the same time, I was still popping on messages a few times a day on Telegram. I wasn't disappearing and claiming I was sick. When the room stops spinning, I jump on, like, hey guys, I'm still alive. I'm doing stuff. I'm sick. I'm sorry. So we pride ourselves, and when people come to us, we listen to what they have to say and we take it seriously, especially when it's meant in good faith.
That's so important because I can't tell you how many Telegram groups I've been kicked out of for asking questions that were totally legitimate. And we know why. Those that token, that project, they don't like when you ask too many questions because then it gets other people to ask questions. And if they have something to hide, they don't want anybody to ask them a question. So then they want to get rid of you, but quick. There is one thing that I'd like to bring up, though, being that Doc is not here, and I have seen him do a few different AMAs. So I just will close off, not a direct quote, but a little something that he says, not just tokens, but teams, not just influence, but accountability, not just avatars, but people, not just us, but an alliance.
Mhm.
It's
And
beautiful, isn't it, people?
hey,
Figured I would just
Doc
throw
and
it
I
in there because
worked
I
on
liked
that.
it when he said it. When he said it, I was like, "Oh, that's damn, that's good. That's good."
Doc and I
Mhm.
worked on that. Doc and I battle over who all the little shtick. We battle
I wrote
over it.
that. I wrote that whole thing actually.
Oh boy, here we go. That's like
Uh,
someone's gonna fight over the thing. Okay, I started slow rug pull. It was me. I was the very first one that said it. I know several people that have said it. Or do you think you started that one,
no,
sir?
I don't think I started solar pool. I do think Doc came up with shrug pull,
Uh-huh.
which might resemble a slow rug pull at times. So, I mean, there's some interesting space. I tell people, if you come up with a zany thing, make sure you take pics because in the day and age of the internet, pics are a thing that happen. I know in my Floki geekdom days, I was, I can't remember the name of the guy now, but I said, okay, Floki makes lives better. Someone document that. I took screenshots. I put an email to myself because at the end of the day, pics are it didn't happen. And Doc and I will, you know, we are always into debates on the math, the science, the psychology, stuff like that, the business. Because Doc, to his credit, has successfully helped launch a few startups. I have backgrounds in that as well, so it runs like a machine, and God Almighty, it grinds us some days.
I bet it does. And I can tell, you guys both are working very hard. I don't, Kyle, do you have a job separate from this? Is this a side hustle or are you 24/7 RMDoxx?
No, no. I own a few. I own a few businesses. I own a construction company, operations company, and a maintenance company, and it occupies. I mean, between this and that, it occupies about 20, literally 20, 21 hours a day.
So you're
So
a lazy bum.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know how these people do it. They're so devoted to the project and the token. They're working all these ridiculous hours and probably because they just don't want to let the community down. There are so many people that have invested in you guys and you want to just keep chugging away and making it happen because you too want that income that's going to be there. And, it just sounds like at what point do you think it's going to start being where, okay, maybe I could just work at RMDoxx and not have to go to the law office. There's enough here for us to do.
I look at it as a long-term investment. As I tell people, a year from now, I want to be in Thailand helping people surrounding Buddhist temples come up with ways to use crypto to improve their lives. Whether that's bypassing wholesalers and distributors in the rice farming industry, textiles, and stuff like that. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity, in my opinion. That's how I see it. And the amount of good I could possibly do if RMDoxx is a success is immense. Because when people realize they can invest in human beings through crypto instead of investing in large multi conglomerate corporations that do nothing but spew money and take money in, I think you're going to have an evolution in humanity that goes forward just such an incredible way. And that, I'm the utopist. I'm the sci-fi utopist in the group. And Doc and I laugh because we're both Heinlein fans. For Us the Living is one of the books I like to point to, but that's not here. There. So I look at this as my investment, once in a lifetime opportunity. Elon Musk was on the factory floor at Tesla. He was in the office 16 plus hours a day, and he perfected the electric car. That's reality. He perfected it. So I want to perfect accountability and transparency in the crypto community and the concept of investing in teams and investing in people. So that's where my source of dedication comes from. That's my fuel.
That's amazing. That's good. Any finishing touches that you guys want to add before I cut everybody loose? Any other little pieces of information that you think would be important for someone to know in order to get them to invest with RMDoxx? Because it's a good opportunity right now to invest in RMDoxx. You've definitely entered a phase of consolidation. So any final words?
I have a couple. I understand and I understand the holders. I get messages about it all the time. Where the chart is now versus where they'd like to see it be. It's not where we want it to be. I'm not going to lie. It won't be there forever. We're doing things that will ensure that. But I'll say this, on a personal level, I just want to tell the holders that I don't fail at anything ever. I haven't failed at anything in my life. I'm not going to fail at this. And so neither will they.
Well, that sounds good. Sounds like that's what you want to hear from a developer. Like that confidence of, dude, I got this. I got this. That's what I like to hear. So that was good. Oh, Dave left.
Oh, did we lose him? Maybe we lost him.
I guess. I don't know. Maybe he had too many screens open again. There you go. Well, he probably won't come back because we're getting ready to say goodbye here. But
Yeah.
well, Kyle, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you taking the time and swinging by the channel to talk to my subscribers about this really great project. I hope it gets to the ears of people that are looking for a really good investment, but understand this is going to be one of those that you put your money in and you hodl it because it sounds like it's going to be good.
Yeah, no, and that is really what it is. And like to expand on my comment, it's just I a lot of people, they want to see green candles, me included. Like I'm an investor outside of this, obviously, but patience is difficult. But as I said, as long as I'm involved with this, there will be no failure. I've told lots of people that, and because I mean we touched 60 million market cap. I don't know if you know that, but
Wow.
yeah, I know. And then people sold off. They made their money, and I would be a hypocrite if I blame them. But I will say this. The project will go in the right direction. We feel it's going in the right direction. We just want to make sure the holders understand that there is things going on. And as I said, there will be no failure. Not with me around, not with the rest of the team around.
I mean, that's the thing with crypto, though. Like you have those people that ape in at the launch and there's nothing there to prevent them from taking those profits. It's like they don't care about the project. They're just there to add to their personal wealth. They don't care that they heard a project. They don't care. They just care about them. That's it. So you almost wish that they would just go to another token like Ethereum or Bitcoin and go play with that for a little while instead of coming over here. But, it's when you're a smaller token, it seems like you're easy pickings. But the good news is eventually they all sell off. And then from there, the only people that are left in the investment are the people that are the long-term hodlers. And then you can really start to build a nice, strong, sturdy base. I've seen it happen. So I definitely believe that. Well, Kyle,
Yeah.
thank you very much for coming on the Crypto Queen channel, coming to court. I appreciate it. And someone in the comment section said that his laptop died. I don't know how they would know that, but maybe he texted them or something. So I do appreciate you for dropping by. And guys, go follow them on Twitter. Consider them as an investment. Go read their white papers. Like I always say, check them out. clearly these devs are doxxed. And I think if there's any devs that are, probably could say they're good devs, it would be these guys, right? They've got to be squeaky clean in order to do a project like this. Well, Kyle, I thank you so very much for joining me. And until next time, remember, try to only buy on the red candles, and please take care of yourself.